Hi, today you're going to learn about keyboarding technique and how does proper keyboarding technique benefit you. Well, there are several benefits and why it's important for you to learn proper keyboarding technique and why we're spending time in class on doing that. Anybody can hunt and peck and type by watching their hands, but when you learn how to memorize the keys and use the right fingers on the right keys, you are able to increase your speed and efficiency and increase your productivity. So if you are going to be working on your job and typing out some letters or reports or something, or you're going on to post-secondary school after high school and you have to type a report for one of your classes, if you are having to watch your hands and hunt and peck, it can literally take an hour to type something that, if you are a touch typist, would take you 15 minutes to type. So it can greatly increase your speed and productivity. It helps you adopt healthy computer habits to reduce the risk of injury and provide increased comfort. If you are going to be working at a desk for 8 hours a day, working on the computer for the majority of the day, knowing proper technique and proper posture can help save from back problems and neck problems and wrist problems. And learning the touch method teaches you to rely on your motor memory rather than your sight to type. That frees you up to direct your focus on the screen instead of the keyboard. So if you are typing a paper or a letter or something, you can be thinking about it and doing the typing. It's just automatic. You're not having to think a little bit and then look down at your hands while you're typing and then think a little bit and look down at your hands while you're typing. Using that motor memory where you have memorized what fingers to use on what key and it just becomes automatic helps for those reasons. So keyboarding technique is to have curved fingers, low wrists that are off of the table. They're not resting on the table, just slightly off the table. Elbows comfortably hanging at your side. Your feet are on the floor and your eyes are on the book or on the screen, depending on what you're typing. You are memorizing the keys in your mind as you are learning how to type here. You say the letters in your mind as you're typing. You'll probably go slower at first, and that's just fine. You're not being graded on how fast or how accurate you're typing. You're being graded on how well you're learning what finger it goes with what key and typing it that way. So if you're typing the A, say the letter A. Stretch your pinky over for the return. Don't lift your hand off the keyboard, and use your thumb for the space bar. Right or left. Right is for most people feel comfortable with the right, but some people that are really strong left-handed feel more comfortable with the left. There's a term called ergonomics. And ergonomics is the science of designing equipment in a workspace for a comfortable and safe work environment. And this guy here in the picture does not have very good ergonomics and posture, as you can see by his photo. I don't know if you've ever noticed, Sherry in the front office or Krista, our counselor, that they have a type of a monitor that raises and lowers so they can stand when they're keying or they can sit when they're keying. And this is part of the idea of ergonomics. So if you have a sore back, you have back problems or shoulder problems, you can spend part of your day standing and part of your day sitting. And these were developed to kind of help with that concept. So we can see this gentleman here in our picture showing us proper posture when sitting at the keyboard. His back is straight, his neck is straight, his eyes are looking right at the keyboard, his elbows are at his side, his wrists are off the edge of the table, his feet are flat on the floor. He's lucky he has a seat that can adjust for the height. Ours in our class don't do that, but when you're working on a job, you probably will have some sort of a chair like that. And you'll notice it says take breaks every 30 minutes. That doesn't mean like get up and walk around for 15 minutes, but just take a little break and do something else for about every half hour to kind of give your eyes and your wrists a rest. So techniques for good ergonomics is a good posture. Your body is centered with the G and the H keys for your keyboard. Your wrists are low but not touching the desk. You're using correct fingering with the home row as your base, so you always keep your fingers on those home row keys and reach up with just the one that you need to move. Your fingers are curved and upright. They're not just sticking straight out. You're sitting up straight, not slouching. Your feet are flat on the floor and your elbows are hanging naturally at your sides. I don't know if you've ever heard of something called carpal tunnel syndrome, and it actually is a syndrome, and it occurs when the median nerve, the middle nerve, which runs from your forearm into the palm of your hand, becomes pressed or squeezed at the wrist. So your nerve, basically, that feeds to your hand, that it gives you feeling and movement in your hand, is being squeezed, and it's being squeezed because your tendons are thickening. You have irritated tendons and they thicken, or other swelling in your nerve tunnel causes it to be compressed. The result can be pain, weakness, numbness, or tingling, or in your hand or your wrist, or even radiating up your arm if it's serious enough. And here's a picture of that. It's showing this is the median nerve. It's running down the middle of your hand, and here's the tendon, and they get swollen and they kind of squeeze this nerve, and that gives you the pain or the tingling or the numbness in your hand. It's called carpal tunnel syndrome. And we mention that because there are some causes of carpal tunnel syndrome. One of them is it's just congenital. You just inherit it. It runs in people's families. Another is you can have a trauma or an injury to your wrist that can cause it. But many people believe that work stress can cause it. So typing a lot, using the keyboard a lot at work, people say kind of brings it on and thickens that. So the proper technique can help reduce your risks of carpal tunnel syndrome. Also, people that use a lot of vibrating hand tools, such as a jackhammer, find themselves developing that as